welcome to my channel. I'm Z. Come wine with me. Today, I want to talk about the slap heard around the world, and I'm referring to Will Smith's action at last night's Oscar Awards ceremony. I happened to come across a video on YouTube that looked like a reaction video, and I just saw the headline and it said something like Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, and I thought, that's odd. Surely, I thought maybe perhaps it was part of some skit they did. It just seemed odd. So I tapped on it. And lo and behold, it is a clip of the interaction between Will Smith and Chris Rock, where Chris Rock does what a host tends to do at these award ceremonies and tells jokes. And sometimes some of the attendees are butts of the joke. In this instance, Will Smith, who is up for Best Actor for the HBO movie King Richard, he was I think on the front row, and so Chris Rock makes a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, who is of course Will Smith's wife of umpteen years, about how she looks like G.I. Jane, or about to, let me get the exact words. Chris Rock's joke was essentially, because Jada Pinkett is bald, she suffers from alopecia, and I'm not sure whether or not Chris Rock was aware of that or not. I know one shouldn't make assumptions, but I actually assume that he does know that because he is part of the entertainment world, and and Jada Pinkett has made that aware publicly, has made the public aware that she suffers from alopecia. And while I think maybe the average person may or may not know, depending on whether or not they follow the Smiths in any capacity, whether it's the Smith elders, Jada and Will, or the children, if one isn't a fan of any of the Smiths, then they might not know. But because he is in that world, I do assume that he knows. And if it comes to pass that he didn't know, okay. But before getting to that, his joke was, Chris Rock's joke was, can't wait to see you in G.I. Jane. And he was addressing Jada Pinkett Smith because Jada Pinkett Smith is bald. And she is bald because she has alopecia. And first I want to address whether or not, before we get to the slap, that was a show on I think it was CBS. I never watched it, but The Slap was a show about this woman who hit this little boy, and I guess how that affected the community and the ramifications of that slap on all the members of that community. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I want to address whether or not it was an appropriate joke. I think that comedians have a difficult job because part of what makes a joke is blending a bit of reality with the absurd. And part of what makes jokes funny is that nugget of truth, right? Sometimes that nugget of truth, you can say a lot of things in the context of a joke that you might not otherwise be able to say in any other setting or context. So that is part of the beauty of a joke. It kind of allows people to tell certain truths without offending or creating any type of offense. In this particular scenario, if Chris Rock was aware that she was suffering from alopecia, might have been an inappropriate joke, but honestly, given that this is the Oscars, and the Oscars is an academy that essentially confers an award and accolades on people who are in the world of storytelling, in the world of filmmaking, which includes actors and actresses, or just actor, and anyone who might be involved in the creation of a film. I think that it was not so bad that it warranted that response. Now, violence is never the answer, right? Like, nothing should warrant that response. Sure, that's right, that's true. However, the reality says that sometimes there's certain things that you can do or say that one would be able to, although morally you can say it's wrong. I would say if everyone knew that she had cancer and that she was balding due to undergoing chemotherapy, and Will Smith walked up there and hit him, although everyone would be on the same page about it being wrong and immoral and all that, they would also be understanding of it and grant a certain leeway in that regard. So that's the angle I'm coming at it from. Under no circumstances is it right, but we all can recognize that there are exceptions to the rules in instances where, a crime of passion, so to speak, although those are usually in regards to murders, and I don't agree with that in that context. But in the context of, physical assault, I think the average person does recognize that there are exceptions to the rule. And I just did not think that this particular situation rose to that level. I think that even if Chris Rock did know that Jada was suffering from alopecia, it did not warrant Will Smith's response, physical response. Now, when Will Smith walked up and slapped Chris Rock after him making that joke, he later sat down and proceeded to yell expletives and say, "Don't keep my mother effing wife's name out your mouth," things like that. And it just seems so out of character. Now, the next thing I want to address is that, right? Will Smith's character. I think that many of us who know Will Smith from his early rapping days and his time as an actor from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then as a big budget Hollywood actor who went on to star in films like Bad Boys, Independence Day, and Concussion, and Pursuit of Happiness, and of course King Richard, amongst many others. He was in a lot of movies, and I think the average person knew or thought of Will Smith as being a respectable man, as being funny, even goofy, fun-loving, silly. And this is where we have to acknowledge that these celebrities, we don't know these people, right? We genuinely don't know these people. Jada Pinkett Smith came out with Red Table Talk back in, I think it was like 2018 or so. And in choosing that platform, she wound up opening up her life and her family life in a way that many of us were unaccustomed to. There had been speculation about Will and Jada having an open marriage for many years. And I personally, to some people, actually to many people, Will and Jada were couple goals. Couple goals to people who felt like they were looking at two young, particularly young and Black or African American or Afro American actors who seem, by all accounts, upstanding, to seem to have a solid relationship, get along well. Didn't hear about many scandals. They were picture perfect to a lot of people. But when Jada came out with Red Table Talk, there started being a lot more speculation that perhaps they weren't so perfect. And not only that, but those speculations that were out there previously about them perhaps having an open relationship seemed to be made more likely. We, of course, pretty much get confirmation about her relationship with August Alsina, the singer, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. There are interviews with Will Smith going on and insisting that there was no infidelity in their marriage, which pretty much seems to equate to acknowledging that they had an open marriage. And the image that they previously had as a perfect couple and that they've been able to maintain for a couple of decades at least, had pretty much been shattered. And I think that part of that is what played into Will Smith's actions that Sunday night. He has had a lot of frustration with that, with making that transition, with dealing with that transition from being revered to kind of being made fun of. And I think it's a little different because in the sense that, like, when back in the day when people would say, oh, he's this corny rapper, he's corny, yada yada, I'm sure that might have put a dent in his ego, but I still feel like not as much as these past few years, because I think someone calling you corny is easy to brush off when you are very successful and you can just say, listen, I'm what a upstanding man looks like. You can call me corny, but I just have, I have a good family. I'm a family man. I'm taking care of business. And, if you aren't able to do that, you just, it's easy to I guess, separate yourself from the riffraff who might have something to say about you when your honor and your character and your image is otherwise intact. And I think in this situation, because his image and character, and I really struggle with saying this, but his manhood has kind of been attacked a lot. I think as much as he wants to keep his head up and stay above it, because in all honesty, I think in fairness, they probably really do have an open relationship. I think based on the interviews that he's done and the two appearing on Jada's show, Red Table Talk, it's all but been alluded to that they've both been done things. I mean, he's also probably had significant relationships on the side, or insignificant relationships on the side, who knows. But I think it just being in the public eye, I think that is an adjustment for him that he's not quite comfortable with. And I think that has taken a toll on him, and that is what played into him feeling like he needed to reclaim kind of this sense of dignity and manhood, manliness and honor, and also to make it clear to everyone that he don't stick beside her. Like he is, no matter what anyone says, he's standing by his wife, and they are a unit, and you disrespect her, you disrespect him, and vice versa. And I think, unfortunately, that all of that subconscious stuff went into that very hasty decision. And I think it's kind of unfortunate because on the one hand, while I can understand those things, I think I can understand how, that hurt that he saw on his wife's face, could trigger him to be like, oh, I've got to do something to, I still think that it was very unfortunate situation where he had a very weak moment, a really just unfortunate reaction. And all I can say is it just seems so odd and so awkward. And I remember I watched an episode of Red Table Talk where Jada and him were talking, and Jada talked about how her husband Will many years ago had thrown a birthday party for her, and by doing so had ignored what she really wanted to do. And I don't remember what it was. It was she wanted something more low key, but what he did, he had all these like famous people there, and just this whole hullabaloo. It was all grand, and she talked about how when it was all said and done, when the day was all over, she wasn't happy, and he addressed her like, "You saw all this stuff I did for you. How can you be so ungrateful?" Um, and she turned around and snapped, "No, that was for you. That was for you. It wasn't for me. You did what you thought made you look like a good husband. You didn't do what I told you as your wife, what would have resonated with me, what I wanted to do for my birthday." And when I saw the slap, that reminded me of that moment. That reminded me of what she said that time, because my automatic thoughts were all about why he did that. It's like he did that for his own image. He did that because there was all kinds of stuff swirling around in his subconscious about his image and how he needs to show up and how he's supposed to show up as a husband. And that was my automatic thought about it. It's like it wasn't necessarily about protecting her honor so much as him shoring up his own image, and especially given the onslaught that his image has taken in the past few years, with the aftermath of the whole entanglement with that everyone knows about between his wife and the singer August Alsina, and the jokes that have been made on at his expense, which like I keep saying, to be fair, the audience is really ignorant about the true nature of their relationship. We see this and we just say, "Oh, she cheated on Will, blah blah blah," and it's embarrassing, sure, but it's only embarrassing because the public wasn't previously aware for sure that they had an open marriage. And I think the public still isn't solidly aware of that because they've never come out and said, "We have an open marriage." They've just done all these things to allude to it. And really it wouldn't be the public's business, except you kind of made it the public's business. Well, actually, to be fair, August Alsina made it the public's business, and so they kind of had to do some damage control. But yeah, I am interested to see how this plays out for Will Smith. I mean, they say that you live long enough and you'll live long enough to see yourself become the villain or something like that. And oh my gosh, like, ain't that the case here? Like, here we have this man who we knew as this goofy, corny, but like fun-loving rapper that was family friendly, rapper and actor who was family friendly and in so many great like shows and movies, kind of like PG-13 and just family friendly, like. And even like I said, in his rap he didn't curse, and then to fast forward in time and hear about the relationship between him and his wife, where she had admitted at one point he like hit her or did hit her upside her head or something like that. No, he said that out of his own mouth, I think. And where now he's slapping grown men on national TV at prestigious award ceremonies and cursing and carrying on. It's just, woo, it's a whirlwind. It's disappointing to see, especially because it's so odd. Like, you're at this Oscar ceremony where you wind up winning, and we can't really, like, no one now is really even talking about what you won for. They're talking about these really odd and concerning actions of yours, and that's kind of just taken over all of the discourse about the Oscars this year. So many of these award shows have been seeing declines in viewership, and there are some ideas swirling around that this was completely staged. This was a way to, give the Oscars more hype, popular. It's like just bringing this element of reality. No one's really heard from Chris Rock, at least not of today, which I'm filming on a Monday, which is the day after this took place. This occurrence took place. So that's also on the table. You know, there's a possibility that this wasn't even a real event, or this wasn't even a real occurrence. Like it was staged. And given that everyone there, or not every single person, but many people there were actors, and the people involved are actors, hey, believable, right? Like, it's believable that it could be fake and that this could have been staged. I'm hoping that's the case, honestly, because if it's not, it just looks bad. It's so oddball. It's not even funny. It's like somebody, connect Will with some mental health services. Because, I mean, listen, I can understand how being in the public eye for as many years as you've been, and, not necessarily having to deal with social media in the same way that you, like, in the beginning of your career, you didn't have to deal with social media, and now having to make this transition, and where everybody, not just tabloids, like everybody alone, has an opinion about everything you do. I think that's a difficult transition to make, and I can see how that can be very mentally taxing. But this just ain't it. I mean, I'm curious as to how this is handled. Are the Oscars going to take his Oscar away? Are they going to just not invite him to another ever again? And Chris Rock, is he going to sue? I mean, listen, this assault happened on national TV. Everybody saw it. We all saw it. And so if it is real and wasn't staged, how does he handle that? And what does this do to either of their brands? Personally, I mean, to be honest with you, I think this would work out great for Chris Rock. It gives him more material, if anything. And I think he's on tour, and he's got more material. Like, if anything, I think this can only benefit Chris Rock. But as for Will Smith, listen, he's been in this game, in this business long enough that he can make it work for him. However, just on a personal level, this just really makes me question his mental health, to be honest with you. Because, like I said, some people see this as him defending his wife. I see this as a mental health challenge, I'll say, playing out. Yeah, that's my take on it. So, thanks for coming to listen to me whine, and until next time.